In today's video, I'm going to go over Week 11 of the 2021 MLB Power Rankings, and that's what I'm going to do in today's video. But before I get into this video, 88% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed. So get your life together and hit that subscribe button, turn notifications, and leave a like on this video. Subscribe, turn notifications, and leave a like. And let's go ahead and get into this video. So starting off at number 30, dead last in the Power Rankings for the second consecutive week, is the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are not a good team. Rivers came out today saying that David Peralta is already on the trade market for the 2021 Major League Baseball trade deadline. Eduardo Escobar's had a great season, 14 home runs, 244 batting average, 261 BABIP, 291 on base percentage, and a 466 slugging percentage. He's been really good this year. Ketel Marte, if he wasn't injured, I think his performance would be sticking out a lot more. He's got 4 home runs, a 382 batting average, 423 BABIP, 417 on base percentage, and 607 slugging percentage. Rumors that came out about him as well. And besides that, the Diamondbacks don't have many more trade candidates. Their starting pitching's been horrible. Zach Gallen's been the only good pitcher with 3.03 ERA in only 5 games started. And besides that, Madison Bumgarner, that signing's been a bust. It was like 4 years, $80 million. He'll be on contract for the next 2 seasons after this season, which is going to be bad for them. Luke Weaver, after a hot start to the season, has fallen off with a 4.50 ERA. And they really just can't get a lot of consistent starting pitching like pitchers to consistently pitch because a lot of their pitchers have been injured. Morel Kelly, who was a surprise back in 2020, 5.12 ERA. He's not been good. The bullpen has been horrible as well, minus Caleb Smith and his outings in the bullpen. And I guess you could say JB Bukakis or whatever his name is. And, yeah, I mean, you can't – the bullpen's been bad. And the Diamondbacks as a team have been bad. The Diamondbacks are just not a good baseball team, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on the bad teams. I want to spend some time on the good teams. So if you're a fan of one of those bad teams, sorry, but I don't know. Hopefully your team gets better sometime soon. Next is the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles are currently 21-38 on the season, 16 games back of the AL East, 4-6 in the last 10 on a one-game winning streak. They have a negative 53 run differential this season. Their expected win-loss record would be 24-35. And at home this year at Camden Yards, 10-20 versus 11-18 on the road. The Orioles are just not a good baseball team. That's pretty simple. They still do have some good players in the bullpen, though, a.k.a. Paul Fry, Tanner Scott. Cesar Valdez, though, has fallen off quite a bit with a 5.16 ERA. I mean, so far, Dylan Tate has not been good either, who was regarded as a top prospect, but has had some injury problems. And Cole Sulzer has been very good as well. The starting pitching minus John Means has not been very good. Keegan Akin was good in 2 starts, but that's a small sample size. And John Means has really been the only good starter. Matt Harvey, that signing was about useless. He's got a 6 ERA. And the batting, though, has had some surprises. And Cedric Mullins, who has a 322 batting average right now, 9 home runs, 9 stolen bases in 59 games. Trey Mancini has also been really, really good. And he's definitely a trade candidate at the deadline. Anthony Santana's been pretty solid, too, with a 269 batting average, 3 home runs. He's been pretty solid as well. Ryan Mountcastle has been pretty solid as well. So, yeah, coming in at number 28, I've got the Minnesota Twins. The Twins are a team that I think is done. I think they need to just go ahead and, be done with this season. I think they just need to go ahead and kind of look to 2022. They have a ton of injuries. Byron Buxton's still injured. And Byron Buxton is the most exciting player on this team, in my opinion. Josh Donaldson, that contract has not really panned out enough at all. And Mitch Garver has been pretty decent. Could be a starting catcher in the All-Star game, though. Nelson Cruz has also been good. He might be a trade candidate at the deadline as well. And for the starting pitching, their starting pitching has not been very good at all. Michael Pineda has been a bit of a surprise in his 32-year-old season. With a 3.40 ERA in 47 innings pitched, he's been pretty solid. But J.A. Happ has been disastrous. And Kenta Maeda has been horrible, who, after coming off a Cy Young season, people had very high hopes for, including myself. And Jose Barrios has not been great either. And the bullpen has been god-awful this year. Taylor Rogers, Hansel Robles, have been about the only good players. That Caleb Thibault has been not great either. And they've just not had a good bullpen at all. The Alex Colomé signing has not worked out. It has been an absolute pain in the butt. Number 27, Detroit Tigers. This team, the pitching is kind of going exactly like it was with A.J. Hinch back in Houston. But if he was in Houston, his starting pitching was really, really good. And their pitching as a team has been pretty good, pretty solid for the pitching that they have on this roster. They're 24-35 right now, 12 games back of the AL Central, and 9 games back of a wild card spot. 5-5 in the last 10 on a 1-game losing streak. They have a negative 58 run differential, and their expected record, win-loss record, would be 23-36. And at home at Comerica Park, they are 13-15, and away from Comerica Park, 11-20. Tigers are not a good team. Akil Baddoo has had a surprising season. I know a lot of people are going to say, yeah, he's fallen off, which he has. But still, he's had a pretty good season. Next, at number 26, we've got the Pittsburgh Pirates. They move up one spot from last week. The Pirates are in 5th place in the NL Central right now, 23-36, not even 10 games back of the division lead. They're only 9.5 games back. 5-5 in the last 10 on a 1-game losing streak, a negative 75 run differential. They can't really score runs. 21-37 would be their expected record. 13-16 at home and 10-19 away from PNC Park. And they're 12-23 versus 500 opponents. The Pirates are not a good team. Simple enough. Number 25, Colorado Rockies, who actually move up 4 spots from last week. But that's not really much to say of them doing good because they're still playing 500 baseball with 5-5 in the last 10 on a 1-game winning streak. They have a negative 39 run differential, and their offense is horrible. Their expected win-loss record would actually be 26-34. At home, Coors Field, they're actually pretty solid, 20-14. But away from Coors Field, that's when it's really bad, and they're 4-22. 10-27 against 500 opponents as well, which is killing them. And 24-36 right now. They're not competing at all. They definitely want the number 1 pick, but the Diamondbacks are making that very easy right now. At number 24 is the Texas Rangers. The Rangers are another team that really has gone down because they were a surprise to start the season. They're 23-38 right now. And they're 1-9 in the last 10 on a 2-game losing streak. They have a negative 50 run differential. 25-36 would be their expected win-loss record. 14-15 at home and 9-23 on the road. And 14-22 against 500 opponents. And the Rangers still have a pretty exciting future with Adolis Garcia, Nick Solak, Josh Young once he comes up, Cole Winn. They've got a lot of prospects that are coming up that are going to be pretty exciting for this team. And the Rangers are at number 24 and are not in position to compete at all this year. Rumors that came out about Joey Gallo, Kyle Gibson will be a prized possession at the deadline. And yeah, at number 23, Washington Nationals, who have a World Series hangover problem, in my opinion, because ever since the World Series, they have just been bad. And Dave Martinez honestly might be fired, even though he did get this team a World Series. I don't know that unless they have a big comeback to end this season that he can stay around much longer, because they're 24-32 right now, 3-7 in the last 10 on a 2-game losing streak, negative 31 run differential, and they're 25-31 would be their expected record, 13-15 at Nationals Park, and 11-17 away from Nationals Park. It's very interesting here because Monsoto's been disappointing. Now that is mainly because of injuries. But still, he's been disappointing this year. Max Scherzer's been good, but the rest of that starting pitching has been horrible. And Steven Strasburg might be one of the most overrated players in baseball, honestly. He got a ton of money for being injured most of the time. And Patrick Corbin's not been that great either and is overpaid for what he's doing on the field and is not being productive at all. Next, at number 22, we've got the Miami Marlins, who moved down 3 spots from last week. And the Marlins are still in the NL East race, just like any team is. But 25-33 right now, 7 games back of the NL East, and 8.5 games back of the wild card. Basically, no NL East team has got a chance of the wild card right now. You got to win the division. They're 2-8 in the last 10 on a 1-game winning streak, a negative 3 run differential, and that's mainly because of their pitching. That pitching of Taylor Rogers, who is a Cy Young candidate, along with Sandy Alcantara and Pablo Lopez, is dangerous. Dangerous. Their expected win-loss record would be 29-29, 12-12 at home and 13-21 on the road, and 11-20 versus 500 opponents. The Marlins are still a scary team, especially if they can get some hitting, because the hitting's not been particularly good minus Jesus Aguilar, Starling Marte. And yeah, it's just not been that great. Their bullpen has been okay. John Curtis has been a good pickup. I said that it would be a good pickup, so I was kind of right on that one. Yumi Garcia has been okay in the closer role this year. He was in kind of a eighth inning type role last year, where Brennan Kinsler was a closer last year. But the Marlins still don't have enough hitting for the great pitching that they have, with a great rotation, and still have some prospects in the farm system like Braxton Garrett and more. Next, at number 21, I've got the Los Angeles Angels. They move up one spot from last week, and that's not really a testament to how they've done, because they haven't really done that great. They're 27-32 right now, only 7 games back of the AL West, 5-5 in the last 10 on a 1-game losing streak, negative 42 run differential, and their expected record would be 26-33. 15-16 at home and 12-16 on the road, and 17-24 versus 500 opponents. This is another prediction that I would say I was kind of right on coming into the season, because I knew that the Angels were a good offensive team, but I knew also that they weren't sniffing the playoffs this year, and I was right. I predicted them in third, maybe fourth this year. And Jared Walsh, Shohei Ohtani, Justin Upton, they've been good this year. Anthony Rendon looks like one of the worst contracts in Major League Baseball as of right now, and that's just true. David Fletcher's not been great either after the hype he was getting coming into the season. The starting pitching's been pretty bad this year as well. Dylan Bundy's been bad. Jose Quintana's been bad, and the pitching as a whole's been bad. Shohei Ohtani's been their best pitcher again, and he's their best hitter right now with Mike Trout on the IL. And for the relief pitching, it's actually been okay with Steve Cishek, and Marcel Iglesias being good. And Chris Rodriguez, in a small sample size of 8 games, was pretty good with a 2.30 ERA. Jose Suarez in 4 games was good. But this team is not going to sniff the playoffs this year. I know Angels fans want to get hope, but Angels fans, I'm sorry, you need pitching, and they just don't have that. At number 20, Cincinnati Reds. The Reds here are 28-29, and almost playing 500 baseball this year, 7-3 in their last 10 on a 4-game winning streak, and a negative 22 run differential. Their expected win-loss record would be 27-30, 12-14 at Great American Ballpark, and 16-15 away from Great American Ballpark. And they're 17-19 versus 500 opponents this year. They just swept the St. Louis Cardinals, which is huge for them, and they're playing some good baseball recently. And I still think that they do have a chance at winning this NL Central. I don't think it's far-fetched to say that they're out of it, because they're simply not. Like, they have the same amount of losses as the Cardinals do, who were just in first place like a week ago. And the Reds still, if they can get some better pitching from guys like Luis Castillo and more, then they will be pretty good this year. But if they don't, then it's going to be a disappointing season even more for the Cincinnati Reds. Next, here at number 19, I've got the Kansas City Royals, who moved down one spot from last week, but they're 29-28 right now. And 6 games back of the AL Central. But the AL Central might be the worst division in all of baseball. They've got to play teams like the Tigers and the Twins, 2 of the worst teams in baseball, like a bunch of times a year. And that just is a main reason there. Because they're 6-4 in the last 10 on a 2-game losing streak. They have a negative 6 run differential. And their expected win-loss record would be 28-29. They're 16-15 at home and 13-13 on the road, and 11-16 versus 500 opponents. Kansas City this year, the hitting has not been totally great. Honestly, Whit Merrifield has been good. Salvador Perez, I think he should be the starting catcher in the American League. He's the only player that's going to call a good game behind the plate, along with actually hitting at a decent average for one, because all the other players in contention, like Mike Zuliano, bunch of players are just hitting like 150 this year. Yasmani Grandal hitting like 150. And Kansas City, I just don't believe in this team a lot at all. Next, at number 18, I've got the New York Yankees, who moved down 10 spots from last week. And the Yankees are horrible right now. They're 31-29, 6.5 games back, 2-8 in their last 10 on a 4-game losing streak, a negative 4 run differential, 30-30 would be their expected win-loss record: 17-16 at home, 14-13 on the road, and 16-19 versus 500 opponents. This Yankees team is horrible right now. The hitting is horrible. Miguel Andujar, Clint Frazier, who Yankees fans consistently package together as this huge trade that could get them a superstar. Neither of them are even on the batting stats leaders this year, and they expect them to be a part of the big trade. Gleyber Torres, I know that people are saying, oh, they're getting a solid season out of Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres is supposed to be a good player. And he's hitting .272 with only 3 home runs. The power is what you want with Gleyber Torres. It's the power. And you're just not getting it. And DJ LeMahieu, I understand why they lowballed him and only paid him 6 years, $90 million. That seemed criminal coming into the season. But it makes sense because he's been horrible this year. Dude has only got 3 home runs and a .253 batting average. And you're expecting like a .290, .300 batting average for DJ LeMahieu. And Gary Sanchez, he is bad. He has a .210 batting average, 6 home runs. He is horrible this year. He plays no defense, and those 6 home runs are like the prized possession of Gary Sanchez. And they take those and run with them. Literally run with them. Because Gary Sanchez is not a good baseball player. Stop it. His catching is disgusting. I've literally seen grandmas that do better, that catch the ball and play better defense as a catcher than him. Grandmas. And Giancarlo Stanton, he is maybe the most overpaid player in all of baseball. He is horrible for that contract. That contract is a huge mistake. So Giancarlo Stanton has not lived up to that contract. That's pretty obvious. 9 home runs this year, .252 batting average, .326 on base percentage, .465 slugging percentage, and a .319 BABIP. He's just not been that great this year. And the pitching's actually been solid. Like Garrett Cole's been obviously very good, Mr. Foreign Substance himself. Jordan Montgomery's been solid as well with a 3.92 ERA and 11 starts in 59 innings. And Corey Kluber was good before he went down on the 60-day IL. I'm not exactly sure what injury he has, but I think he's going to be out for quite a while, if not the season here. And he's always really injury prone. And he's just always so injury prone, and that's the big thing with Corey Kluber. If the dude could stay healthy, he might be a Hall of Famer, honestly. And that might be a little crazy to say to some people, but it's true. Jameson Taillon's been bad this year in his 29-year-old season with a 5 ERA. Domingo Germán actually has been solid in 11 games with 3.12 ERA. And these prospects that they have as well that they hype up to be in the pitching part of things, but Deivi Garcia and Clark Schmidt have just not been that great either. The bullpen's been good. Aroldis Chapman's been lights out this year. Jonathan Loaisiga's been really good as well. And honestly, the bullpen's been pretty solid. And you can say the same thing with Chad Green as the definition of solid. And their bullpen has been pretty good. Darren O'Day has been pretty solid as well in his few games in the bullpen. Let's go ahead and move on to number 17. At number 17, I've got the Seattle Mariners. Move up 3 spots from last week. Jared Kelenic has kind of really fallen off the hype train since being called up. He's got like a .096 batting average right now. He's 30. The Mariners are 30-31 right now, 5 games back of the AL West, and they're 6-4 in their last 10 on a 1-game winning streak, and they have a negative 54 run differential. They've got way more runs allowed than runs scored this year, and their expected win-loss record would be 25-36, so they're definitely overachieving. 17-14 at home and 13-17 on the road. The Mariners are not a good team. The bullpen has been solid, especially with Kendall Graveman. He has improved a ton since we last saw Kendall Graveman. And it's a big part of the Mariners' future, especially when next year they get back Ken Giles, who is a pickup this offseason that a lot of people didn't really talk about, but I know that is a good move. Mitch Haniger is going to have to get paid after this season, which may kind of take them out of the Trevor Story sweepstakes, which is interesting. Or they may just go the route of Noelvi Marte, who is a prospect. And their starting pitching has kind of been bad. Justin Dunn, in a small sample size of 9 games, has had a 3.18 ERA. He's been solid. Yusei Kikuchi has been pretty solid as well with a 3.92 ERA. But still, it's not been great. Chris Flexen has been not very good. Logan Gilbert's still kind of transitioning to Major League Baseball. And the relief pitching's been pretty solid. Paul Sewald and Rafael Montero, who I thought was going to be solid, has just not been a great pickup. Same thing with, he's just not been a good pickup, and that's pretty simple there. So, yeah. At number 16, I've got the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies are currently third in the NL East with a 28-30 record, 4 games back, and 5.5 games back of a wild card spot. They're 5-5 in the last 10 on a 2-game winning streak, and they have a negative 11 run differential. And their expected record would be 28-30. And they're 17-11 at home and 11-19 away from Citizens Bank Park this year. And the Phillies have been disappointing this year, just like the whole NL East. Honestly, it's been quite a disappointment all around. JT Realmuto has not been great this year. He has 5 home runs, 295 batting average. He's still hitting for that high batting average, but still. Rhys Hoskins has been a big surprise in his 28-year-old season, a 263 batting average, 332 on base percentage, 493 slugging, and a 319 at BABIP, and 12 home runs. He's been really good. And just as I'm making this video, the Mariners send slumping prospect Jared Kelenic to the minors as he is in an 0-for-39 slump right now. It still is in part of one of the worst trades in Major League Baseball history, a one-sided trade, and that's Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz to the Mets for Jared Kelenic and other top prospects, Justin Dunn as well. But back to the Philadelphia Phillies. Andrew McCutchen's been surprising this year. His average is not particularly high, but still. Zach Wheeler is a Cy Young candidate this year, and Aaron Nola's been disappointing. That's pretty obvious to say. In 12 starts this year and 70 innings pitched, he has a 3.84 ERA. He's just not been very good this year. Along with Zach Eflin, he's not been great either, but he's been okay. Spencer Howard was good in 3 starts. Vince Velasquez has, I guess, been solid with a 4 ERA. But Matt Moore and Chase Anderson, those 2 pickups, Matt Moore as a pickup, not really pan out well in 3 starts, but he was on the IL. And Chase Anderson has not been that great himself. So, yeah. Now next to number 15, we've got the Cleveland baseball team. Now, their best player so far, arguably, has been Jose Ramirez. He has 13 home runs, 6 stolen bases in 7 games, and a 262 batting average, a 348 on base percentage, a 525 slugging percentage, and a 250 BABIP. He's been pretty solid this year. Cesar Hernandez, who they brought back this offseason, honestly has been pretty good with a 218 batting average, 9 home runs, 242 BABIP, 298 on base percentage, and a 386 slugging percentage. Franmil Reyes has had some pop in his bat, 11 home runs, 257 batting average, 302 BABIP, 316 on base, and 576 slugging percentage. Ahmed Rosario and Andres Jimenez, who they got back in the Lindor trade, neither have been great. But still, neither has Francisco Lindor himself. Now, going on to the pitching, Aaron Savali's been pretty good. Shane Bieber's been pretty good. Shane Bieber's not been to that Cy Young level that he was at last year, but he's been pretty solid. And their relief pitching has been really good. Nick Sandlin has been good. Emmanuel Clase's been good, who they picked up in the Corey Kluber trade. James Karinchak's been good, Mr. Foreign Substance as well. And Cal Contrell has been way better out of the bullpen, along with Brian Shaw being a really good pickup. And, yeah, they have had a really, really good bullpen this year. And that's really what's leading this team, along with some good starts from Shane Bieber and Aaron Savali. And next at number 14, I have got the Atlanta Braves. The Braves have just not been playing Braves baseball that we've seen the last few years. They need to play better. And the pitching is where it starts here, because Ian Anderson has been arguably the best starter this year with a 3.64 ERA, and that's just not very good. Max Fried has been very good since coming back from his injured list stint. Charlie Morton has not really lived up to that signing and the amount of money that he'll be paid this season. Husker Yanoa broke his hand being stupid. And Tucker Davidson was pretty good in 2 starts, but that's 2 starts. That's literally the smallest sample size ever. And the bullpen has been a big disaster. Will Smith has been a disaster. A.J. Minter. Chris Martin's been about the only thing good out of that bullpen, and Luke Jackson. They've been basically the only thing good out of the bullpen. And Freddie Freeman, even though the stats may not prove it too much, is Freddie Freeman's been disappointing as well. A 229 batting average is not what you expect from Freddie Freeman, a player that you're expecting a high average from, and you're not getting that this year. Acuna's been great, obviously. He's a favorite for the National League MVP. Austin Riley's been really good as well. And Dansby Swanson, he's been okay. I mean, not great. Next, at number 13, we have got the St. Louis Cardinals, who moved down 4 spots from last week. They're currently at third place in the NL Central, 2.5 games back of the NL Central, and 31-29 right now. And they're 3-7 in the last 10 on a 5-game losing streak. They go out a negative 18 run differential, and their expected record would be 28-32, so they are overachieving a little bit. 15-14 at Busch Stadium and 16-15 away from Busch Stadium, and they've been really bad versus 500 opponents where they're 8-14. The Cardinals have been good this year. I mean, honestly, they still are looking at some pitching for the deadline. Some rumors are coming out saying that, which is totally understandable because their pitching's been horrible this year. And if their pitching can get better, they're definitely going to make a run at this National League Central crown. At number 12 is the New York Mets. The Mets are playing like the best team in the NL East like they have been all season. The Mets are 29-23 with a comfortable 3.5 game lead in the National League East, and they're 7-3 in the last 10 on a 2-game winning streak, and they have a positive 11 run differential, and that shows how good their pitching's been. They're 15-5 at Citi Field and 14-18 away from Citi Field, and they're 4-12 versus 500 opponents, which will need to improve. The hitting's been the big disappointment. Their home run leader is Pete Alonso with 7 home runs, which is not that great. And obviously, Francisco Lindor has been a huge bust and disappointment. A lot of people hyped him up, and he just has not been that player for the last couple of years. He still is good defensively, though, which you're not paying him $341 million to be good defensively. Taekwon Walker, Marcus Stroman, and Jacob deGrom have all been great, especially Jacob deGrom, who has a 0.62 ERA. Yes, those are video game numbers right there for him. And Marcus Stroman and Taekwon Walker have both been very good. And Taekwon Walker is going to get a lot of money in free agency. Edwin Diaz has been And Aaron Loop has been good this year, actually. And Juris Familia has been good as well. And Miguel Castro. Trevor May has been pretty solid. And along with Seth Lugo, who I think is going to be good once he kind of gets back in the swing of things. Moving into the top 11 now with the Chicago Cubs at number 11. They were at number 14 last week. I still don't believe in the Chicago Cubs team much of any, honestly. I'm just going to be honest. Because they are tied for first in the NL Central right now. And they're 6-4 in the last 10 on a 1-game winning streak, and they have a positive 30 run differential. And their expected record would be 33-26, exactly where they are. 21-10 at home and 12-16 away from Wrigley Field, and they're 15-12 versus 500 opponents. And Chris Bryant's obviously been really good this year, and Javier Baez is starting to get that average up, and he's got a ton of power in his bat this year. He's been really good. Anthony Rizzo has been a bit disappointing, not even going to lie. And Ian Happ has been super disappointing, who's one of their big bats in the lineup last year. Patrick Wisdom has been a huge surprise since coming up, and with a 4.12 batting average and 7 home runs already. The starting pitching obviously has not really been good at all, and the best pitcher has been Albert Alzolay, a rookie. And Kyle Hendricks and Jake Arrieta, 2 of their probably best starters coming into the season, have been bad. And same thing with Zach Davies. The relief pitching, though, has been surprising. Craig Kimbrell's been good. Ryan Tepper's been good. Andrew Chafin's been good. Dan Winkler's been good. Like, their whole bullpen as a whole has been really, really good this year. And that's really another thing that's really helping the Chicago Cubs team. And if they could get some starting pitching, then they are going to be in a very, very good position come trade deadline. Now let's move in to or after the trade deadline and for this year and possibly winning the NL Central. But coming in at number 10, I've got the Toronto Blue Jays, who move up 3 spots from last week. But the Blue Jays are a good baseball team. They are third in the AL East right now with a 30-27 record, 6 games back. But they're 6-4 in their last 10 on a 1-game losing streak, a plus 36 run differential. Their expected record would be 32-25, so they're actually underachieving a little bit. 13-13 at home and 17-14 on the road. The Blue Jays starting pitching and relief pitching has not been good this year. That's no secret. But their hitting's just been so good. They have 3 all-star caliber players in their infield in Bo Bichette, Marcus Semien, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And 2 of those will probably be starters, if we're being honest. And honestly, I have confidence in them getting pitching at the deadline as well. And if so, they are even more dangerous. And that bullpen is not terrible. And number 9, Houston Astros, who move up a spot from last week. And the Astros are in second place right now. They're 33-26, 1 game back of the AL West, and they're 6-4 in the last 10 on a 1-game winning streak, and 20-13 at home, and 13-13 on the road, and 19-12 versus 500 opponents. So I'm just waiting for the Astros to take first place, honestly, if I'm being honest, because the Astros are a better team than the Oakland Athletics. And honestly, the payroll should be. But the best team this week, honestly, has one of the lowest payrolls in all of baseball. And Carlos Correa has been really good this year. And especially in a contract year, he's going to get quite a bit of money. Jose Altuve could arguably be an all-star this year, if not an all-star starter. Kyle Tucker as well has been very good. And Jordan Alvarez has been good as well. And Michael Brantley has still been Michael Brantley, hitting for a high average and stuff. And Yuli Gurriel's not being talked about, but he's been really good this year. The starting pitching has been pretty solid, actually, for the starting pitching that's in this rotation. Lance McCullers has been good. Luis Garcia has been good. Zach Greinke's been good. Jose Accordi has been good. And Framber Valdez is a really good pitcher as well. Jake Orizzi has only had 5 starts, but he's at a 5 ERA. The bullpen, though, is shaky as it gets, with Ryan Presley doing well with a 2.16 ERA. But besides that, that's kind of it. The bullpen, besides that, is pretty horrible. And coming in at number 8, moving up 8 spots from last week, we've got the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers here made the trade of Willy Adames, and they've been just a lot better since they got Willy Adames on this team. And they are 33-26 right now, tied for the NL Central lead. They're 9-1 in the last 10 on a 4-game winning streak. They have a negative 4 run differential, and 29-30 would be their expected record. So I guess you could say they're overachieving a little bit. But they're 17-15 at home and 16-11 on the road, and 17-11 versus 500 opponents. The hitting is going to be what either holds this team back or is why this team makes the playoffs. Because Christian Yelich has not been healthy the last couple of years. Willy Adames is a good pickup. Avisail Garcia has probably been the best hitter this year, honestly. And Omar Narvaez has been good this year as well, behind the plate and hitting-wise. But the starting pitching has been nasty this year. And that's why I would be scared of facing a team like the Brewers in the playoffs. 2, maybe at least top 5 Cy Young contenders right now, and Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff in that rotation, along with Freddie Peralta, who nobody's talking about, who's having a great season with 11 starts, 62 innings pitched, and a 2.32 ERA. He's been really good. And facing that top 3 is dangerous. And having to face Brandon Woodruff in a potential wild card, it sounds dangerous. Or even in the division series, you'd have to face Burns, Woodruff, and Peralta. That sounds nasty. And then you get to the bullpen with Devin Williams, who has not been as good as he was last year, but 4.03 ERA. And the thing is, they did give up some bullpen depth in the trade to get Willy Adames, with giving up Drew Rasmussen and J.P. Ferenczian, or whatever his name is. But Brad Boxberger's actually been solid, along with Josh Hader in that bullpen. You get to the 9th inning and you're facing him, and you're not scoring jack squat. 0.76 ERA this year in 23 innings pitched. He has been very, very good. Next, moving on at number 7, I've got the Boston Red Sox, who moved down 3 spots from last week, but that's no shot at the Boston Red Sox because they have been playing good baseball. They're 36-23 right now, 1 game back of the AL East lead, and they're 7-3 in their last 10 on a 4-game winning streak. They have a plus 52 run differential. 35-25 would be their expected, or 24 would be their expected record. They're 16-13 at home and 20-10 on the road, and 15-9 against 500 opponents. The Red Sox have been a huge surprise still this year. And even though they're not leading the AL East, you still say that they are one of baseball's biggest surprises this year because they've been really good. And the hitting's a big part of that, where they have all-star contenders all over the diamond. And, I mean, you've got J.D. Martinez. You've got Xander Bogaerts. You've got Rafael Devers. You've got Alex Verdugo. You've got so many all-star candidates on this team, not to even start with the pitching, which has been very good. Evaldi's been good. Pavetta has been a steal of a pickup for Brendan Workman. An absolute steal. Martin Perez has been a steal as well. Garrett Richards has been solid. Eduardo Rodriguez, though, who was their best projected pitcher coming into the season, has not been great. Adam Ottavino's been good. Matt Barnes has been good. Garrett Whitlock has been fantastic, who I'm pretty sure they also got back in the Brendan Workman trade. The Phillies absolutely got finessed in that trade. And Brandon Workman's not been great in his 2 games, like a 5.40 ERA, but that's not a huge pickup for this team. At number 6, I've got the Oakland Athletics, who are 35-26 right now, 6-5 in the last 10, on a 1-game losing streak and have a positive 6 run differential. And their expected record would be 31-30, so you could say they're overachieving a little bit. But they're 17-17 at home and 18-9 on the road, and 12-15 versus 500 opponents. The Athletics are always a team that finds a way to compete. And this year, I predicted like they were going to compete. Smartly of me. And the hitting's been fantastic this year. Even though Matt Chapman's been disappointing this year with a 205 batting average, 5 home runs this year. Jed Lowry's been good. Sean Murphy's been good. Matt Olson, Raymond Laureano, Mark Canha have all been good. Chris Bassett's been solid as well with Sean Manaea and Cole Irvin in that starting rotation along with James Kaperlin. And Jesus Luzardo's not been great. I'm not even going to lie. The relief pitching's been solid, weirdly, even though they don't have that great of a bullpen, especially Lou Trevino. He always seems to be really, really good. And same thing with just Mara Petit and Jake Diekman. They're always just very good. At number 5, I have got the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox are still one of the best teams in baseball right now. And they finished at number 5 last week as well. And the White Sox are really playing some good baseball. But I also do think they'll be a bit shell-shocked once the time of the playoffs comes, because they've been playing these AL Central weak teams. They're actually going to play some competition. And that's going to be interesting here because the hitting's been great. Yerman Mercedes has been good, obviously. Tim Anderson, Yasmani Grandal. He still is hitting for a low batting average, but is still providing a lot through power, a lot defensively. And Nick Madrigal's, he never strikes out. And Jose Abreu, it's very good as well. And Andrew Vaughn is a player who's going to be really good in the major leagues. Their starting pitching has been one of the best in all of baseball, and they've got 2 players with under a 2 ERA in Carlos Rendon and Lance Lynn, along with Lucas Giolito, who's been not great this year, but he's still been okay, and Dylan Cease as well. The bullpen has been lights out with Garrett Crochet, Michael Kopech, and Liam Hendricks. Garrett Crochet, if you remember, was just drafted back in 2020 and is already making a huge impact in just 2021 to a Major League Baseball team. And there were 4 Los Angeles Dodgers. I feel like the NL West teams just kind of need to be put together, and if you know what I mean. But the Dodgers here have been disappointing in the last 10. Like, they are still, I would say this season's been a bit of a disappointment for this Dodgers team. They're 34-25, 3 games back, and 4-6 in the last 10 on a 2-game losing streak. Plus 83 run differential. Their expected record would be 38-21. 19-10 at home and 15-15 on the road, and 13-16 against 500 opponents. The Dodgers have another team in there this year because the Giants weren't a real threat last year, but they are this year, and that's what's big. The Padres are another big threat this year, who have been better than them, and that's the thing. The Dodgers currently, I don't even think would make a wild card spot. Coming from the World Series and might not even make the playoffs. I think the World Series hangover is a little bit of a problem. They just kind of think they're seeing all these predictions, and that's just not true, because if we look here, they still are in a wild card spot, but the Cubs or Milwaukee are coming for those wild card spots only 1 game back, and the Dodgers still do have it, but they're going to have to play division rival Padres, and we're going to go through the who would make the playoffs towards the end of this video. But coming in at number 3, we've got a division rival, San Diego Padres, as I was just talking about. They were at number 1 last week. We didn't have a great week this week, where they're 36-24, 2 games back of the NL West, 4-6 in the last 10 on a 2-game losing streak, and a positive 70 run differential. 38-23 would be their expected record, 20-12 at home, and 16-13 on the road. They have had some injuries to deal with this year, and that's been a big problem for them. And they've still had a great season for the injuries that they've put up with. And number 2, the San Francisco Giants. This is the highest they've ranked all season, I'm pretty sure. Well, they moved up 4 spots from last week, but I'm really starting to think that the San Francisco Giants team is for real. And that's crazy. I still think that they do need more hitting. to be seen as more of a real contender, but I still do think they're a real contender. And if you get some more hitting on this roster, they could definitely be a I don't know that you'd say World Series, but they're definitely a threat. They're 7-3 in the last 10 on a one-game losing streak, a positive 70 run differential, and 37-22 would be their expected record. 18-9 at Oracle Park, and 19-13 away from Oracle Park, and 11-9 against 500 opponents. And let's go ahead and go to number 1, the Tampa Bay Rays. They were at number 2 last week. They're moving up one spot this week. I feel like we have just about a new team at number 1 every week. But the Rays are playing like the best team in baseball. And they literally have one of they don't spend any money and still are better than these teams. Like the Yankees, like the Dodgers right now, who are just facing the cap daily, and it just lives in their head. And for the Rays, they have a cheap team that always performs, and you love to see it. Austin Meadows has been great this year. Mike Zuyana, he's an all-star starter for some teams, for some people, and I can understand that. Joey Wendell's been good as well. Randy's Rosarena, who people are not talking about as much, but still has been good this year. And Brendan Lau is hitting for a low average, but still struggling to get it together a bit. And for the starting pitching, it's been great, especially Rich Hill. He has been so good. In his 41-year-old season, 12 games started, 62 innings pitched, and 3.05 ERA and 0.8 WAR. Michael Watkins, a small sample size of 6 starts, still has a lot of potential at only 29 years old, has a 3.08 ERA. And Shane McClanahan, he's going to be so good. He's still kind of adjusting to Major League Baseball, though. Josh Fleming has been really good with a 2.86 ERA and 5 record. And Luis Patino is going to be really good as well. They have a stacked farm system, one of the best farm systems, or the best farm system by far in all of Major League Baseball. And yeah, the relief pitching has been lights out. Ryan Thompson's been good. Pete Fairbanks, Andrew Kittredge has been great. Not to mention Hunter Strickland, who has been very good. Just got designated for assignment by the Los Angeles Angels today. The Angels should just be better with their pitching. And Diego Castillo has been good as well. And Jeffrey Springs has been a bit of a breakout player this year as well. And Luis Patino in 2 outings in the bullpen was good as well. The Rays are currently 38-23 right now, 7-3 in the last 10 on a 2-game winning streak, a plus 75 run differential, and that's 302 runs scored against 227 runs allowed. 38-23 would be their expected record. They're 15-13 at home and 23-10 on the road, and 24-18 against 500 opponents. Looking at the Rays' schedule coming up, because they play the Nationals next, which should be some easy wins for this team, honestly. Then they play the Orioles, which, man, they've got some more wins coming if this is, the Orioles, then the White Sox. Ooh, that's going to be a good series. The best 2 teams in the American League right now, in my opinion. Then you got the Mariners, the Red Sox, the Angels. Yeah, so they should be getting some wins coming up, and they are just a very, very good baseball team and are the number 1 team in Major League Baseball as of Week 11. Now, like I said, let's go ahead and look at who would make the playoffs as of right now, 60 games through the season. For the AL division leaders, you have the Tampa Bay Rays as the number 1 seed for the second consecutive year. You have the Chicago White Sox as your number 2 seed, and you have the Oakland Athletics as the number 3 seed. Your AL wildcard teams will be the Boston Red Sox, who by far get home field advantage, and you will also have the Houston Astros, who make the playoffs. Now, for the NL, you have the San Francisco Giants, and they will be the number 1 seed. And you've also, the Cubs and the Brewers are tied. Let's go ahead and look at the Cubs versus Brewers this year. I know they play like a 163 game, but I'm just not doing that. And the Brewers actually swept the Cubs. So I'm going to go ahead and give the NL Central crown to the Brewers as of right now. It doesn't really matter, though. So the Cubs will miss the playoffs. And we'll go with the Brewers as the number 2 seed. It doesn't really matter. They're both the number 2 seed. But number 3 is going to be the Mets, obviously. And the NL wildcard teams are going to be the Padres and the Dodgers. And yeah, that is going to be the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and turn notifications, because, like I said, 88% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed. So get your life together and hit that subscribe button, turn notifications, and leave a like. Thank you for watching, and peace.